Okay, let's see. Namaste, dear ones. I'm Lou MD. Before we get into this, go ahead and subscribe and like, share. Also, comment below if you feel inclined. And also, my website will be featured throughout the video, so be a doll and go ahead over to the website, or be a gentleman if you happen to be a male watching this video, and go to my website. There's so many different products that will benefit not only yourself but the ones you love, so be sure to check those out. And I do have a service listed. So in regard to being empathetic, the need to check your empathy is so important and underrated. Some people have a vast capacity for empathy and love and nurturing and wanting to help others, right? And it's a natural innate thing. However, it could be a form of toxicity and a form of codependency. The reason I think it's so important to check your empathy is because when you're dealing with people that are traumatized or unhealed in different ways, and that looks like, for instance, they may have grown up in an environment that was very dysfunctional, unpredictable, traumatic, any of those sorts. And some people that come out of those situations, they're able to rise above it and not become a villain like they were around as children. It could have been relatives, guardians, parents, siblings, what have you. But some people that go through those traumatic events have the ability to rise above it and become their best selves. And I speak to that because that pretty much was my upbringing. Don't get me wrong, there were good times, but the bad times really shaped me in a way that allowed me to be more so introverted, and to protect my femininity, to really be pretty much a type of person that... Hold on a minute. You want to get your phone? Okay, come on and get it. This is one of my sons coming through to get this phone. Thanks. I needed to use that. And on the other end of the spectrum, there are those people that may have succumbed to the pain and disrespect or dysfunctionality that they grew up in. And that's really unfortunate because, you know, when you grow up in these environments and there's no foreseeable way out, I can really understand from a survival mechanism where the person may feel like they have to identify with the abuse in order to really survive in that moment. However, that wasn't my plight, but being someone that's very empathetic, I understand these things, and I really understand when people are going through things, but that has to have limitations to it. So when I speak of checking your empathy, when you are somebody that's very feminine, divine feminine, and awakened goddess, you will realize that people are very attracted to you. And that is a positive thing, but it can also be something that is problematic if you are not equipped with that type of confidence to really say no to people, to really disengage from others. And it's very important, especially now with COVID. You know, people are dealing with what's going on in society and the shift that the universe has taken, the shift that the earth has taken in many ways. And if you are very uninformed, if you're unconscious and unaware, it may look like you are in a position of just pretty much winging it, feeling as if there's no meaning to your life, not really knowing the next steps in your life. And that's why it's important to really guard yourself, guard your heart, guard your mind, guard your empathy. Your empathy is important to have, but you need to empathize with yourself first and foremost. rather than empathizing with what somebody else is going through. Because sometimes when people are going through traumatic events, it could be their own karmic debt that's being doled out to them. So avoid interfering with what the Mother God, Father God is doing in people's lives. You can look from an objective perspective, offer, if you want to do anything, you can offer prayers, you can offer meditation, mantra, whatever. It's up to you. But by making sure that you don't really absorb other people's energy when people are going through traumatic things, you can observe it but not absorb. Those are the terms I'm looking for. Absorb that negative energy will cause you to become negative as well. It's this thing called symbiosis. When you're around certain things, you begin to align with it. So it's important, if there's people in your life, people that you can't necessarily not be around, you have the power to neutralize those situations. If you don't feel comfortable around someone, if you feel like, I'm not able to help this person, it really bothers me, check your own empathy. Think about your inner child and what it is that you're liking, because you could be vicariously helping someone in order to really nurture something that is unhealed in yourself. So sometimes when things come up with other people, it may not necessarily, of course, they may be going through something, but it's presented to you at times because it could be something that needs to be healed in yourself, and that person's situation could trigger that healing for yourself. So it's important to realize that putting yourself first and foremost, aligning yourself with spirituality, is very important on a daily basis. These are rituals, daily rituals, that need to be taken in consideration on throughout your life. Because if you don't do that, you can fall into symbiosis where you begin to mimic the behaviors of others that are negative. So remove yourself from situations with negative people. Don't become negative, because that is something that could happen. Sometimes when you're wanting people to get something, you want it to really click, you could really mirror the person, which could be something negative. So to avoid that, remain true to yourself, connect with your divine feminine, your divine God, your divine goddess within, and realize that you have the power to neutralize and bring peace within your life, within whatever situation or environment that you're in. And that means always keeping that empathy in check, realizing that you do not have to extend empathy to everyone. Everyone is not deserving. And again, I apologize for this tripod that I'm using. I can't remember what this one in particular is called, but my standalone tripod hasn't arrived yet. So we're just going to improvise. Alright, this is a little better. Alright, so to give an example of checking your empathy, when you're dealing with people, now this can be relatives, aunts, uncles, siblings, spouses, children even. People may present situations to you, and they may know, of course, okay, this is a very empathetic person, they're helpful, they will do whatever to help others. And that's a very toxic type of characteristic to have. We're kind of bred to believe that that's something noble and honorable and charitable and humble as women, to be that constant, to be reliable. Those attributes tend to be pretty positive, but it could be toxic in a way that if you are positioning yourself to be that constant in people's lives, to be that go-to, to be that rescue always, it allows and it invites disrespect, because this person knows that you're going to be a constant. It's important to check your empathy and realize that, okay, these are attributes that may be something that's a part of your personality, but there's something in your personality that may need to shift for you to get to that next level of goddesshood, that divine level of goddesshood where you are truly being honored as a woman. You are living the life that you want according to your will, and you're doing so without stepping outside of your femininity. You're doing so with peace, with flow, with joy, and you get to that point by building boundaries, saying no. And even, you know, when I speak of checking your empathy, you know, it's a balance. It's a definite balancing act, because it's a true art to remain soft in a very hard world, in a world that wants women to be hardened, per se. All right, to take on the responsibilities of so many different things, to take on the responsibilities of not only their children but other children in the community. You know, it's just so much, and it can become overwhelming. But we have to take a stance as goddesses, as awakened goddesses, and realize our role, our purpose, and our value, and realizing that if we're not taking care of ourselves, nobody really will be taken care of. So first and foremost, provide that empathy for yourself, love yourself, nurture yourself, and always check that empathy. Consult with the ancestors, consult with the Creator, Mother Goddess, Father God. You know, you're not alone in this process. You're never alone in this process. You have to really believe that and be convinced of your ability to thrive. So until next time, definitely vibe higher and thrive. Ashe.